Okay, well, it's great to get on the road and get a conference win. It was a big time game against a very, very talented opponent. Headed into week 7 of the season, and we're improving and continue to get better. And I thought showed great toughness, great resiliency from the start of the game being down, coming back, fighting back, and going on and scoring 45 points against an outstanding team, an outstanding defense, which is, the second most highest points since the history of us being in the ACC. I think that shows improvement. I think it shows, more importantly than anything else, the mindset of our players, a credit to their character and their integrity and their ability to keep fighting and keep grinding. And I'm really proud of them for their effort. As we move forward, we're playing a very good Virginia team, 5-1. Their quarterback, Kurt Benkert, I think is a very talented player. He's having a heck of a year. Jordan Ellis, their running back, has done an outstanding job, averaging over 4 yards a carry. Evan Butts, fantastic tight end, really good size, really good athlete. And then they've got some receivers, Dowling, Leverone, and Zacchaeus that are, I think, big-time guys. On defense, they've done a great job. I think their number 1 player there is number 9, Andrew Brown. He's a fantastic defensive lineman. He's powerful. He's athletic. And, you got Quinn Blanding, one of their defensive backs. I think an excellent player. And I think they're well coached. I think they're well put together. And schematically on both sides of the ball, this is a really good football team we're playing here on the road. And we have our work cut out for us. Looking forward to the week, as I always say, because it's a pleasure to be around our guys. They're going to come in tomorrow. They're going to come in with a great mindset and a great attitude, with the mindset that we got to continue to improve. We got to work on the things that we felt we need to do a better job with, and continue to grow and develop. So, looking forward to the week, and looking forward to another big-time ACC game. Any questions?
Coach, quarterback, Darius Wade's emerged last Saturday. What are we thinking going ahead this week between him and Anthony Brown? Well,
Anthony Brown played great in that game. Anthony Brown got hurt during the game, came out, and I'm really proud of Darius. He went in and did a great job. So I think it's a credit to both guys. I think it's a credit to Anthony, the way he played. I thought Anthony played fantastic. And he was physical in the run game. He threw the ball well and did some great things. And then Darius came in, and he ran the offense and had confidence and threw the ball well in our naked and our play action game. And I thought he managed the game and did a great job. So, I think like everything else, you go to work and you get rolling. I don't know the status of everybody yet, injury-wise and everything else, but I'm proud of both of them, and I'm proud of the way they both played in that environment. And so that's the way it should be. You should have enough, hopefully enough talent there at that position where it doesn't need to drop off. You should be able to play.
Are you going to wait to announce a starter until later in the week?
Yeah, there's nothing. There's no quarterback controversy here. One young man got hurt in the course of the game and came out of the game, and the other young man went in and did a great job, and that's the way it rolls. So we're going to keep going the way we've gone, and we'll deal with. As I said from day one, I have confidence in both guys. So we'll see how Anthony's feeling, where he's at, and I don't have the read on that right now, but there's no more to that.
And then last question for me: defensive secondary really played well, I thought, especially causing the last fumble on the last drive for Louisville. Just your thoughts on the secondary.
Yeah, I think one of the great things coming out of Saturday's game were all 3 phases made plays. And at the very end of the game, it was one of those games where who was going to make the next play, maybe the final play. And I thought for Hamp Cheevers to come off the bench, hadn't really played a whole lot, right? Maybe not at all at that point. I can't remember. Came off the bench and came and stripped that ball like that. Was great to see. A young player like that come in and next man up and did a great job with it. I thought during the course of the game, we were playing against. One of the struggles against Louisville, one of the challenges against Louisville, is they have a very powerful, sophisticated throw game. Okay, and yet they have this quarterback who is utterly one of the very best players in college football, and they run option with him. you have to say, okay, we need to play some coverage to defend the multiplicity of their throw game. But in the same breath, they come rolling at you, even on third down, with option football. That contrast is very, very difficult on the defense right now. Okay, that's a hard combination, and it's very unique to them, to be honest with you, because of who that guy is behind the center. So I thought that we did a really good job in the back end trying to manage the sophistication of the throw game and still be able to give some run support in those scenarios. And it was a challenge. And then, of course, as the game wore on, fatigue became a factor. Will Harris was cramping. Depth is a factor. And we could see that at the end of the game. It was really playing in. And, of course, Harold was playing at about, half speed in that game and was giving everything he possibly could. So, I think the DBs did a fabulous job of reacting and making enough big plays in that game to stem that tide.
What did you notice about the offensive line play, Steve?
Well, it's been getting better every week, and I think I said this a couple weeks ago. As we've been able to practice the last couple of weeks with continuity at that position, and it's growing. And I thought they did a great job. They played really, really physically, and against a really talented defensive front, and they did a great job. The key for us is to stay as healthy as we possibly can with that unit right now, because like a lot of spots right there, due to the amount of guys that we've got knocked out right now, we're a little thin. So we've got to stay healthy there. But they're performing at a really good level right now and gaining confidence.
What about Lindstrom at tackle?
Yeah.
Like a couple of the big runs were off either left or right tackle.
He's all over the place, Chris. I mean, like we ran at the end. I don't know if you saw it. We had him in the backfield, as like a blocking fullback when A.J. popped that run into the end zone. I mean, Chris is playing at a high level right now. I said that from preseason camp, but he's playing at a high level right now. He's playing tackle. He can play guard. We lined him up in the backfield. I mean, he is a physical, rough player right now. I mean, you think about a BC offensive lineman. He's a physical, rough player, as you would imagine when I always visioned a BC offensive lineman. He's developed into being one heck of I think he was ACC Lineman of the Week this week, and honestly, justifiably so. So I love his development and where he's at, and he's playing very well. And he's also supplying a great deal of leadership up front right now, sort of, kind of emerging, taking the role of John Baker, and John's still trying to do everything he can from off the field right now, but on the field, try to emerge and recapture that role we had in training camp with John. And then, and Chris was sort of like that understudy, if you will. And he's starting to capture that now, which is good. Like everything, a team, a unit has to establish a personality, and that happens as you gel together and you stay together as a unit, and you have great opportunity. And I think, the beautiful thing is, we have, including John, but we have them all back. I mean, they're all coming back, and that's a very good thing to look forward to.
Coach, I know after the game you said that you, with the injury to Anthony, you decided to switch to a more power game. Did that develop kind of changing any formations, limiting plays? Like what went into switching over towards that power game?
Well, I think because we were throwing the ball well on first and second down in our naked play action game, I think we were able to move the chains. If you follow us, we start out at Northern Illinois with 92 plays. We ran against Wake Forest 82 plays. We ran 85 plays against Notre Dame and 87 plays on Saturday. And as you start to move those chains and you start to wear down a defense, you start to have the ability to impose your will a little bit. So we have some different styles of run game that we can run. We have a power game and sort of a, we'd like to be further along in some of our Q run game things, but given the fact that we had to break somebody in at center that hadn't really shotgunned the ball before, and then Anthony got hurt against Clemson, and of course in this game when he got dinged up, we had to shift it back more towards a little bit more of a power run attack. Although in that game early, we ran some QB read zones in there. So I thought as the game moved on and we started imposing our will, and of course, John and AJ were running at a very, very high level. And, we started to, you sometimes you take your lead off these linemen, right? And they're coming off the field and they're confident now. And they're like, Coach, we're knocking these guys off the ball right here, right now, And it's like, well, let's roll. Let's just roll this thing right now. Plus, there's another piece of this, we want to keep that quarterback of theirs off the field, and so you're trying to control the ball. And maybe at the end, we kind of scored a couple times, maybe too fast, And so there's a mindset there that you're shifting to, and we're trying to handle all the different things that happen in the course of a game. How the game's going, how the injuries on the field are affecting you during that game, and you're trying to have some ability to shift and figure that out on the move. And it makes, when guys play like A.J. Dillon played, makes you a smarter coach, and that's usually the case, It's like on the other side, that guy they have pulling the trigger man over there, takes care of a lot of issues with that guy, A lot of unblocked guys can't make a play sometimes on that guy. And that's never changed. That's kind of what football is. It's a player's game. And, our guys, I thought, stepped up, and I just give them all the credit in the world.
And it looked like that you had been lining up offensive linemen off the line, kind of behind and almost like an H-back position. What kind of advantages does that give you, lining up an extra offensive lineman kind of in that free spot?
Yeah, I mean, that's what I said earlier with Chris. We lined them up, back there. Well, the reason that you can do those things is it gives you a little more schematic flexibility based on the kind of front you're playing. Sometimes you don't want to open up a gap up front, so you can close those gaps off and yet still get an extra puller to where you want to go. And especially if you have an athletic guy that can run and is powerful, like Chris Lindstrom is, I mean, I think it gives you, in that kind of set, those are sets where your goal is you're looking for a couple 3 yards, those aren't, those sets, and the big ones sometimes come and they take care of themselves, but, you're trying to get as much mass and explosion you can get at the POA, the point of attack, and get one extra hat. That's why.
Anthony still is it the same shoulder from Clemson or no?
Yeah.
Have you seen it affect him at all?
Clearly, the week after Clemson, it affected him clearly. He didn't practice all week. It's hard to take a redshirt freshman, don't practice all week, and think you're going to be a whole lot of productivity out there. But I thought as each week went by, I'm trying to go back in time now, the season clicks by on you so quickly. I think there was a 2-week run post to this game, right? I think the first week, I think was the tough week. I think it got better in the second week. And then, of course, I thought really came out strong in this game, And so got to see where we are. And we roll from there,
He's a shoulder and he's a quarterback. Is that something he's just going to have to manage throughout the rest of the season?
Probably. Probably that's the reality of it all. It's just not uncommon. I've been around it a lot, and then it comes down to sometimes, I think the older you are, sometimes the better you can manage those things. They're not as overwhelming. And so we're just going to have to manage it. And the good news is that, we have another very capable guy that went in and got some unbelievably great reps, and we just got to manage the situation, whatever that is. I'm not saying what it is, because honestly, I just don't know yet. You don't get enough. You don't get I won't really know that until I'll start to get a feel for that tomorrow, and probably not in totality tomorrow, but at least a better idea. Yeah. We're trying to, we're trying, in that game, we were, really trying to work that. Even I mean, we threw it on 4th and 1. I mean, we're trying to really strike some balance in here. No, I mean, you get a guy like John or AJ with a hot hand and rolling, you're going to just roll, But even within that, we were still trying to operate our 1st and 2nd down throws in there, until maybe the very end. Then, we were trying to handle that clock and everything, But I think we consciously want to keep a mix. We were the key right now, I think if you really follow this thing, is you got to stay on schedule on 1st and 2nd down, so you get in manageable thirds. We did a much better job. What was our stats on 3rd? 9 of 18. I think when you have more manageable down and distance on 3rd, and you can convert your thirds at a higher rate, then you have an ability to stay on the field. And the more you stay on the field, the more you impose your will, and the more plays you have the ability to run. So I think it all kind of, it's all about staying on schedule on 1st and 2nd down. When we get off schedule for whatever the variety of reasons, then it makes 3rd down really difficult, and then it makes it more difficult to keep your mix sometimes,
I think I don't have numbers for you. I probably got to go back and look. But do you feel like you've thrown more on 1st down this year than years past, or early?
I'd say we've thrown more on 1st and 2nd down. Yeah. And that's what we're trying to do. I don't know that it always equals out. Like in a game like that, I wonder. I don't have the stats handy for me, but that would be our goal. I mean, there's no question about that. I want to see what our mixture is on 1st and 2nd down. I think we're going to be a little bit more run than we're going to be throw, but I don't want to see it crazy out of whack. Unless we're just running it at such a high level that then that's another story. But I thought Saturday we rushed for 300 and close to 70 yards, and 270 by AJ, and I mean that's a lot of yards. That's a lot of toll, and I think at the end of the day, that's a good formula against a team like that. If you can get that to happen, it's because you got to keep that other guy off the field, because you all saw when he's on the field what's going to happen. I mean, he's going to get his yards and his. I mean, that guy is sensational, and I mean that. And I think I've been around a few of the top quarterbacks in college football history, and but this guy here now, when he gets going, he's going. So.
Early in the season, you guys let one go that you wanted the weight gain, right? And in a way, when you look at kind of the way the rest of the season, what you had done, like how much did movable help kind of like, I know you like use the word stay on schedule in terms of drives, but like it's kind of keeps your season away from on schedule in terms of like,
Well, here's the deal. In a football season, every year, for different reasons, there's ebbs and flows. Some things that happen like you thought they'd happen, and some things happen like you didn't think they'd happen. And there's a lot of reasons for that. What our mindset has really been this year, and I'm not being cliche-ish here, is really just been every day we got to improve. Every week we got to improve. And we just got to keep swinging away. And so, and if you just keep banging on that rock, at the end of the year, you find out where you're at, And I try not to, with the team, with anybody, ride the roller coaster, because I think the roller coaster, it's kind of like they say, like like when you go into a pro camp and you're trying to make a team. If you start looking at the numbers, like I'm an offensive lineman, they're going to keep 12, and there's like 18 of us here, and if your day is consumed with that, you just can't get there. But if you just say to yourself, every day I'm going to get better, every day I'm going to pound the rock, every day we're going to grind, we're going to stick together as a football team, and then when it's all said and done, the dust settles, you get, you are where you are. And the emotional roller coasters, those are tough rides to go on. And I try, now I'm not unrealistic about it, but you try with your team, with everybody, not to ride those. because they're wearing and they're tiring. And you just got to get ready for the next week. It's kind of like whether you came off a devastating loss or you came off a sky-high win. You know, tomorrow's Tuesday, and we better have a great Tuesday, or we're not going to be in position to go down and have an opportunity to beat Virginia at Virginia. And that really, honestly, is just the facts. And so that's the way I occupy my mind. I can't look in the rearview mirror. And, hey, human nature, it's hard to, you got to fight that, right? But, you know, as a coach, a player, a program, you got to look forward, and you got to have belief in where you're headed, and you got to go. And I think that's critically important, to be always forward thinking, not rear thinking, you know. And that's the way I'm wired. That's what I believe in. And so I couldn't be more excited about Tuesday. Now, hey, you know, when you win, everything tastes better. The sky's bluer. The sun's brighter. I mean, who can argue with that? That's the facts. But we got to get better. I think what that win does, and I'm not dancing around the question, I think what that win does is help to build confidence. You know, in the words of Father Jack, when he talks about your foundation to bear fruit, everybody wants to bear a little bit of fruit in this game, all right? Period. You want to bear fruit for your work. And sometimes it comes early, sometimes it comes a little late, sometimes it comes real late. But when you bear fruit, there's a great feeling of validation for what you've been seeing or on the tape, what you've been talking about, what you've been striving for. You know, when you're out there and you're saying, this is what I think, this is where I think we are. This is, I mean, we just got to, you know, this can be a really good thing. And then you get some validation of that. Whether you're a player, whether you're a fan, whether you're a coach, it's good to see some validation of what you think you see, okay? And so what does that win do for you? That win gives you a little bit of fruit. That win gives you a little bit of confidence. But if you don't handle your business, that'll erode real quick. And we're still in the process of really building, you know, and we've got to keep building. And I think I said this the other day that, you know, as you're building, you just want to try to keep seeing the spike go up, okay? But along the way, you got to deal with the reality of what happens in these games, like we've had to do from the beginning of the year. And I think we've done a really good job managing. You don't always control all of those variables, and trying to manage them all, I think is a credit to our team, our players, you know, and you know, and I give them a lot of respect for that, you know. So we're going into week 8. In week 2, we were on our third center. We're going into week 8, and we like the way our third center is really coming along right now, okay? And so I'm grateful for that. But, you know, you don't know what's around the corner on Tuesday and Wednesday or next Sunday in this game. Anything can happen, and all of a sudden you're back into another variable, and you just got to keep handling the variables.
Take 2 more questions. Coach Mendenhall's been making some pretty good gains down there, but they really turned a corner this year. Any theory on that, or like it seemed like they just got good?
Yeah, they look good. I mean, yeah. I mean, I think Bronco's done a great job, and I like the way they're playing. I think they're very, very talented, and I think he's done a really, really good job, and he's developed a nice looking football team right now. So, you know, yeah. I mean, I watch them on tape. I'm very impressed by them right now. I haven't gotten to the detail of them on offense, but I know they're pretty explosive. I saw enough on a couple of TV games. I saw it on a Thursday or Friday night. We were at the hotel. I saw them playing against Boise. You know, so I've seen a couple of snapshots, and I'm studying them right now hard on defense. I think they're really well put together. So I think he's done a fantastic job.
AJ had 39 carries on Saturday. Going forward, is there going to be a cap at all on number of carries he has? He's just a true freshman. Is age factor into that at all or no?
I mean, I think what we try to do is manage him during the course of the game. I think that when you're dealing with young players, you know, you want to, you know, sometimes like they're not, you know, everyone's got to get used to the workload. And when fatigue sets in, sometimes, you know, you want to try to keep a young guy as fresh as possible because, you know, when you're older, hey, turnovers happen all the time, but, you know, as you get fatigued, sometimes the ball gets a little lower, you get a little bit sloppy, and I think the key is to keep him in a really good place of feeling strong and fast. And John Hillman's just playing at a really high level, and he too, and Travis Levy. I mean, those guys are playing at a high level. So I think we've got some really good running backs, and I think, you know, managing that, and that's kind of like, honestly, it's a series by series manage. We don't have a count, you know. I mean, there's no count involved here. It's just, you know, kind of watching the flow of the game, you know, and how all that's going, and how a guy feels and how he looks and what his productivity is. If a guy gets a hot hand, guy's got a hot hand, you know, and so I think that's just the mindset that we have.